My childhood friend and my brother swapped my soul with a pig's to save the family's fake heiress. Reborn, I went on a killing spree. After my wealthy parents brought me home, the girl who had been raised in my place, Jenna, threw herself off a balcony when she learned she was being sent away. My brother, Caleb, didn't blame me. Instead, he gave me a mini pig as a pet. Then, on my 18th birthday, I put on the custom necklace my childhood friend Noah gave me, and suddenly found my body swapped with the pig's. I tried to prove who I was, but they just threw me into the kitchen to be slaughtered and roasted. After I died, I watched the imposter, now in my original body, feasting on my flesh and sneering. You bitch. You really thought you could take what's mine? Go to hell. My brother and childhood friend were ecstatic. It's a miracle, Jenna. You're finally back. All that acting was worth it. It turned out Jenna's fall had left her in a coma, her soul trapped inside that mini pig. My brother and Noah had orchestrated everything just to bring her back into the Lawson family. The truth was too much to bear, and I died with my eyes wide open. When they opened again, I was back on the day Caleb gave me the mini pig. This time, I was sending it straight to the breeding farm. Stella, I've been swamped with work, so I got Lulu here to keep you company. Caleb held out a mini pig dressed in a little pink dress, presenting it to me like a prize. My childhood friend, Noah, set a bag of pet supplies on the floor and teased, Stella, Caleb went through a lot of trouble to get this pig for you. You better take good care of her. Seeing me just staring, Caleb must have thought I was being shy, because he tried to push the pig into my arms. I flinched back like I'd been electrocuted, nearly falling over. But Caleb's first instinct was to protect the pig. He didn't even glance at me. Noah, seeing the pig was safe, rounded on me. Stella, what's your problem? Caleb gets you a nice gift, and this is how you act? You almost dropped Lulu. Seeing how frantic they both were, I couldn't help but let out a cold laugh. In my past life, after my real parents found me, I was so grateful to finally have a family. But Jenna, the fake heiress, jumped from a balcony in a rage after learning she'd be sent away, ending up in a coma. Caleb didn't blame me. He even bought me the mini pig I'd always wanted. I was overwhelmed, so I let it sleep in my bed, hoping we'd bond. But that night, its sweet demeanor vanished and it bit me hard. I didn't want to bother anyone, so I went to get a rabies shot by myself. When I got back, my room was destroyed. My pillow and comforter were shredded and covered in filth. My new clothes were torn to rags and scattered across the floor. Even the family photo on my nightstand was smashed. As I stood in the doorway, the mini pig glared at me, a strange, twisted grin on its face, before defiantly sinking its teeth into one of my stuffed animals. A cold sweat broke out on my skin, and I screamed. Caleb came running at the sound, but when I told him what happened, he didn't believe me. Even Noah looked at me like I was crazy. Lulu is adorable. You're making things up. You probably did this in your sleep, and are trying to blame the pig. I tried to explain, but Caleb cut me off, saying that if I didn't like it, he'd find it a new home after my birthday. But on my birthday, after Noah helped me put on a custom designer necklace, he casually took my old one and put it on the pig. The world started spinning. When I woke up, I was in the pig's body, trussed up on a cutting board, waiting to be gutted. I was horrified. I tried to scream for help, but all that came out were squeals. Just before I died, I learned the truth. After Jenna's fall left her in a coma, her soul had become trapped in that mini pig. Everything Caleb and Noah did was a calculated plot to swap my life for hers. My own brother and the boy I grew up with. I had been so blind. Thinking of this, I trembled, suppressing the rage boiling inside me as I said coldly, "If you two like it so much, you can keep it." I'm not. Seeing I was serious, Caleb didn't push it. But he said the pig would have to stay for a few days until he could find a new owner. My birthday was just around the corner. It was clear they were determined to sacrifice me for Jenna. But this time, their little plan wasn't going to work. Even after being reborn, I still didn't understand what the key to the body swap was. Was it my birthday? The necklace? Or the fact that we had been living so closely together? Until I figured it out, I couldn't make a move, or I'd fall into their trap again. But this time, Jenna in her pig body was just as restless as before. Even though I locked my bedroom door, she still found a way in. Just like last time, she trashed the entire room. She even found a priceless art manuscript my mentor had given me and pissed all over it. That was the last straw. I wanted to tear her apart. I knew she was doing it on purpose, to get back at me for taking what she thought was hers. But it was all mine to begin with. I let out a cold laugh, not screaming in fear like I did last time. Instead, while she wasn't looking, I grabbed her by the hind leg and lifted her upside down. Jenna let out a terrified squeal. Just as I was about to give her a good kick, Caleb heard the noise and burst in. He snatched the pig out of my hands and cradled her protectively. I told you I was getting rid of her in a few days. What do you think you're doing? Noah came in right after him and saw Jenna whimpering and trembling in Caleb's arms. Without even asking what happened, he started yelling at me. Stella, you're a grown woman. Why are you bullying a little animal? What did she ever do to you? He then started cooing at Jenna, trying to comfort her. Look at her, she's terrified. In my last life, Caleb and Noah had always defended Jenna, even when she was a pig. This time, Jenna peeked out from Caleb's arms and shot me a triumphant, taunting look. Furious, I threw the ruined manuscript at them and pointed at the mess in my room. Which one of your eyes saw me bullying her? She's the one who destroyed my room and my collectibles. And she's peeing everywhere. She must be in heat. I don't think you need to find her a new owner. Just send her to a breeding farm. Maybe that will calm her down. Of course, I knew Caleb and Noah would never send Jenna to a breeding farm. But pissing them off felt pretty damn good. Sure enough, Jenna shuddered at my words. Caleb stared at me, then his face filled with disbelief. Stella, where did you learn to say such horrible things? I'm so disappointed in you. Noah was furious too. Stella, are you sick in the head? Lulu is just a baby, and you want to send her to a breeding farm? Are you even human? Besides, it's obvious you didn't put your things away properly, and you're just trying to blame her. You're acting like a total shrew. Jenna was always so much more like a Lawson heiress. At that, Caleb shot Noah a sharp glare. Noah realized his slip-up and stormed out, slamming the door behind him. I knew it. All their patience, all their restraint, was just a means to get Jenna back. Too bad for them I was blind to it in my last life. This time, I was going to give them a front row seat to a spectacular show. For the next few days, Jenna was much quieter. She stayed in the room Caleb set up for her, and didn't cause any more trouble. She was probably terrified I'd actually send her to a breeding farm. But did she really think I'd let her off that easy? I secretly went to a pig farm and bought a dozen packets of sow hormones, mixing them all into the food Caleb prepared for her. The farmer guaranteed me the stuff would accelerate her development. Even a mini pig that's only supposed to weigh a few dozen pounds would quickly gain weight and go into heat. Pigs are supposed to be fat and plump, after all. It makes them so much more lovable. Besides, I had a special birthday gift planned for Jenna. She needed to be in peak physical condition. Jenna ballooned in size, her body becoming round and pudgy. Caleb started hovering around her whenever he was home, terrified I'd do something. The night before my birthday, I got hungry and went to the kitchen for a snack. The moment I took a bite of a sandwich, something felt wrong. It was made that afternoon and shouldn't have gone bad, but it tasted strange. Even the juice had a thick, foul taste. I spat it out and rinsed my mouth, fury rising in my chest. This had to be Jenna's doing. I was going to make her pay. But as I stormed toward her room, I heard Caleb's voice from inside. Jenna, just be patient a little longer. I promise I'll get everything back for you. I swapped you with Stella back then because I was afraid you'd suffer with Mom. I never thought they'd find her and bring her back. I know how hard these past few days have been. But after tomorrow, you'll have a new body. You'll be a normal person again. That bitch Stella will be gone, and the title of Lawson heiress will be yours and yours alone. I froze. I finally understood why Caleb was so hell-bent on destroying me. He was my father's illegitimate son, and Jenna was his half-sister from his mother's side. My veins throbbed with rage. I wanted to storm in there and rip them both to shreds. But I knew I couldn't. I had to wait. I couldn't ruin my own plan for revenge. The next morning, I stepped out of my room to find the house completely transformed. Caleb was holding a bouquet and a cake, his usual cold expression replaced with a warm smile. Stella, happy 18th birthday. It's your first one back home. Mom and Dad are out of the country, so I threw you a little party. I hope you like it. Noah stood beside him, unable to hide his excitement. I got you a gift too. I hope you have a very special 18th birthday. They had said the exact same words in my last life. Back then, I was moved to tears. This time, all I felt was a bitter chill. The life they were so eager to celebrate wasn't mine. It was Jenna's. Seeing their impatient faces, I curved my lips into a smile and played along. This is so sweet. But if you're going to celebrate my birthday, you have to get my favorite cake from that little French patisserie downtown. Why don't you go get one now, Caleb? Caleb looked hesitant, about to call for a delivery service. I quickly cut him off, pouting. Are you still mad at me about the other day? You won't even do this one little thing for me? Caleb was cornered and had no choice but to agree. I put on a fake smile and used the same tactic to convince Noah to drive out to the suburbs to pick up the dress I was going to wear for my party. The round trip for both of them would take at least a few hours. That was more than enough time for me. The drive should have taken them over 3 hours, but Caleb and Noah were back in less than 2. They walked in together, which meant they'd probably spent the entire drive plotting against me. The second they were through the door, Noah urged me to go change, his eyes constantly darting to the necklace around my neck. When I deliberately took my time, Caleb got antsy. Stella, hurry up. Noah has a surprise for you. You know him, his bark is worse than his bite. Don't hold a grudge over what happened before. He started planning your birthday gift 3 months ago. Watching them put on this act, I had to hide a cold smile. Planning a gift? More like planning how to swap my soul with Jenna's. In my last life, I was completely swept up in their surprise. I let Noah take off my necklace and replace it with the one he'd had custom made. Then he put my old one on the mini pig. Caleb even joked that Noah was trying to become the Lawson's son-in-law. I was so lost in my own happiness that I never saw the disgust in Noah's eyes. And it was right after I swapped the necklaces that I collapsed and became the pig. This time, even though I knew exactly what they were planning, I played along and went to change into the dress. I only took a few extra minutes, but Noah was already pacing nervously outside my door. The moment I came out, though, his face fell. Where's your necklace? I feigned surprise, acting my part. Oh my God, I think it might have fallen off and rolled under the bed when I was changing. Before I could even finish, Noah rushed into my room and, without a second thought, got on his hands and knees to look for it. When he found it, his happy birthday was so forced it was almost a mumble. He quickly fastened the new necklace around my neck, and then excused himself to the restroom. I knew what he was doing. He was taking my old necklace to Jenna to complete the final step of the ritual. But I didn't stop him. Caleb watched Noah's back, practically vibrating with the urge to follow him. But after a while, nothing happened to me. Suddenly, Noah came back sweating, the old necklace still in his hand. The mini pig Jenna was gone. When Caleb heard this, he shot up from his chair and started tearing the house apart. My room in particular was completely ransacked. Still, there was no sign of the pig. Seeing me calmly eating my cake, Noah finally snapped. He stormed over and slapped me across the face. Stella, did you get rid of Lulu? I knew you couldn't stand her. She's a living creature. How could you be so cruel? Caleb rushed to pull Noah back, then turned to me, his voice tight with anxiety. Stella, Noah's just worried, don't mind him. Lulu's new owner is on their way. Where did you leave her? If we find her now, we won't be mad. Still trying to lie to me. I gathered all my strength and slapped Noah right back. I laughed. Are you insane? Where did you see me get rid of that pig? At this, Caleb let out a small sigh of relief. I paused, then continued, a pig that fat? It would be a waste to just dump it. Of course I had it butchered, marinated and slow roasted. You should try some when it's done. It's delicious. The words had barely left my mouth before the color drained from both their faces. I smirked. The show was about to begin. Just then the doorbell rang. I clapped my hands together. Is that my roasted pig delivery? Can one of you get the door for me? A pig that size is going to be heavy. Caleb collapsed onto the floor. Noah ran to the bathroom and started throwing up. I let out a cold, derisive laugh. In my last life, When I was the one turned into a roasted pig, they didn't seem to have this reaction. In fact, they ate with relish. So what's with the sudden change of heart? Pathetic. Since neither of them dared to open the door, I wiped the frosting from my fingers and opened it myself. It was just the building's security. Seeing it wasn't a food delivery, Caleb and Noah visibly relaxed, their strength returning. Noah charged at me, grabbing my collar. "Where did you send Lulu? If anything happens to her, I'll kill you." I put on an innocent expression. "It's just a pig. If you like it that much, I'll buy you another one." "Why are you getting so worked up?" Noah lost all control, the truth about to spill from his lips. But Caleb lunged forward and clamped a hand over his mouth. "Noah's so upset because Lulu's new owner is coming to pick her up any minute now. We don't have time to get another one." He turned to me, his jaw clenched, forcing a gentle tone. "Stella, just tell us. Where did you send her?" Watching him grit his teeth while trying to act nice was incredibly satisfying. I glanced at him and said casually, "You're making a big deal out of nothing. Look how scared you two are." "I was just kidding. The thing is, while you were out today, that pig went and peed all over my room again. My next-door neighbor saw it and said it must be in heat, and that sending it to a breeding farm would fix the problem. Since you and Noah love this pig so much, I figured it'd be better if she had a few babies, right? That way she'll stop making a mess everywhere. You might not mind it, but I think it stinks." Caleb, worried I might do something to Jenna, had actually locked her in his room before he left. But the moment he was gone, I called the best locksmith in town and had the door opened. I hadn't seen her in a few days, and the mini pig with Jenna's soul had gotten even fatter. I immediately called the pig farm I had contacted earlier, and had them pick her up. It had been several hours already. I imagined the pig's legs were probably jelly by now after a day of non-stop action. Those sow hormones weren't for nothing. Last time, she had me turned into a pig, slaughtered and served up for everyone's enjoyment. This time, I was feeling less bloodthirsty. I'd just bless her with a few piglets. You could say it was my version of mercy. At my words, Caleb, who had just been breathing a sigh of relief, looked like he'd seen a ghost. Noah forced me to give him the address of the breeding farm. As they rushed out the door, I couldn't resist calling after them, "Caleb." "Noah. I wouldn't be in such a hurry if I were you. The pig's been in heat for days, she's probably enjoying herself. If you interrupt her now, she might even hold it against you." Their backs stiffened for a second before they slammed the front door shut. Once they were gone, I packed my things and moved into my dorm at the university. This house, this 3-story villa, might look glamorous, but it was nothing but a wolf's den. If it wasn't for my revenge, I wouldn't have stayed a second longer. Before I left, I installed hidden cameras in a few discreet corners of the house. After all, this attempt to swap our souls had failed, but I knew Caleb and Noah would find another way to come after me. Know your enemy. I wouldn't let them get the best of me again, not in this lifetime. When I dropped the pig off, I gave the farmer a thick envelope of cash and asked him to install 4 cameras to record the entire process from every angle. After getting settled in my dorm, I opened the camera feed on my phone and saw something that shocked me. The farmer was a man of his word. He'd even given the pig an extra boost. No wonder he'd pounded his chest and promised me she'd become a mother. The efficiency was impressive. By the time Caleb and Noah got there, the pig was already collapsed on the ground, its little legs trembling. It was covered in bruises and bite marks, and patches of its fur had been torn out. Caleb was heartbroken. He kicked open the gate and, ignoring the filth on the ground and on the pig, scooped it into his arms. Noah's fists were clenched, his eyes burning with rage. He let out a string of curses. "That bitch Stella, I'll make her pay for this. I'm going to kill her right now." He grabbed a nearby stick and started to storm off. Caleb quickly stopped him. "What's the hurry? I'm just as torn up about what she did to Jenna as you are. But if you kill or maim Stella, who will Jenna swap bodies with? Letting her die would be too easy. There are too many people here. As soon as we get back, we'll put Stella's necklace on Jenna. Then all of this suffering will become Stella's. And then we can torture her however we want to get revenge for Jenna." A shiver ran down my spine. I never would have guessed that Caleb, who always seemed so gentle and patient, could say something so vicious. Or maybe this was his true self all along. Luckily, I had anticipated their plan. Caleb and Noah rushed home with the pig. Noah immediately pulled out my old necklace and eagerly placed it around the pig's neck. But nothing happened. Caleb started searching the villa for me, only to realize I was gone. Desperate for an answer, Noah grabbed his phone and called me. The second I answered, he asked tentatively, "Jenna, is that you?" I laughed coldly. "Noah, are you still asleep? Isn't Jenna lying in a hospital bed? What's wrong with you, calling me to look for her?" Noah seemed to catch on. He suppressed his anger and asked, "Stella, the necklace I gave you, you're not wearing it?" I scoffed. "That necklace you gave me? I left it on the vanity at the Lawson house. A gift that heavy is more than I can bear." With that, I hung up and blocked his number. On the monitor, I watched Noah punch the wall in frustration. Caleb, however, just smiled a strange, chilling smile and said he had plenty of ways to deal with me. I was curious to see what he had in mind. I was at the university, with 24-hour surveillance and security guards. What was he going to do? Kidnap me in broad daylight? I had underestimated the devil. One day, I had just finished class and was heading back to my dorm. Caleb was waiting for me at the entrance to the building. I could see Noah and the pig in his car parked nearby, looking agitated. Seeing me approach, Caleb's face lit up. "Stella, you're finally here. I've been waiting for hours. I know you were mad, but you can't just move out like that. If Mom and Dad find out, they'll blame me for not taking care of you. It's getting chilly. I brought you a scarf to keep you warm." Before I could protest, he wrapped the scarf around my neck. By the time I tried to refuse, it was too late. Hidden inside the scarf was a necklace. Seeing my expression suddenly go blank, Caleb's face lit up with joy. He pulled me into a tight hug. "Sister, are you back? I've missed you so much." I shoved him away in disgust, ripping the scarf off and throwing it at him. "Caleb, have you lost your mind? It's the middle of summer, and you're giving me a scarf. And what was that nonsense just now? What do you mean? Is my sister back? I've been right here the whole time. I have to study for midterms, so I'm staying in the dorm. And you should stop coming here. You're distracting me." Leaving a stunned Caleb behind, I walked straight into the dorm building. He snapped out of it and tried to follow, but the dorm supervisor stopped him at the door. Once I was upstairs, I hid in a corner of the balcony to watch him. Sure enough, seeing that the swap had failed again, Noah got out of the car and confronted Caleb. "Caleb, what the hell? You said you had plenty of ways to deal with her. Why didn't it work? If you keep dragging your feet, Jenna is actually going to have piglets." Caleb looked just as confused. "That's impossible. I hid the necklace in the scarf, and I definitely put it on her. Why didn't it work? It looks like this method won't work anymore. We'll have to find another way." Watching them drive off in a huff, I couldn't help but laugh to myself. Of course I knew why the swap didn't work. Remembering my past life, I knew the gem on the necklace Noah gave me was the key. So I found a master craftsman and had him find a stone that looked almost identical. I was just waiting for Noah to give me the real necklace so I could make the switch. This time, while he and Caleb were at the breeding farm, I swapped the gem on the necklace and left it on my vanity. Now that I knew the necklace was the key, and the necklace was broken, the swap was bound to fail. I'm a genius. From what I could see, the pig's belly was getting bigger. She was probably carrying at least 10 piglets. This time she would get a taste of her own medicine. But Caleb and Noah wouldn't give up. They would find another way to come after me. Even though the campus was safe, I couldn't let my guard down. Whatever they threw at me, I'd be ready. That night, I was in the library studying when I got a call from an unknown number. I answered cautiously. It was Noah, and he was furious. "Stella, did you do something to the necklace I gave you? The gem on it isn't the one I had custom made. Where is the real necklace? If you didn't want it, you could have just given it back. You didn't have to swap it out just to screw with me." I rolled my eyes. So they'd figured it out. He must have also realized that the soul inside the pig was no longer Jenna's. Otherwise, he wouldn't be this desperate. I cleared my throat and said flatly, "Who the hell would want your stupid necklace? I threw it away ages ago." "Where did you throw it?" he demanded. A smirk played on my lips. "You know that chicken farm just west of the university entrance? I threw it in there. It's probably hanging around some chicken's neck by now. I hung up and burst out laughing. The truth was, the last time Caleb tried to swap us, it had actually worked. But the soul that switched with the pigs wasn't mine. It was a chicken's from the farm. There were thousands of chickens at that farm, and they all looked the same. I was very curious to see how those two would manage to find Jenna now. And if they couldn't find her, they probably wouldn't have the energy to plot against me anymore. But I had once again underestimated Caleb and Noah. With midterms just around the corner, Caleb suddenly showed up at school, bringing me a drink. He had dropped the manipulative act and looked genuinely dejected. "Stella, I've missed you since you've been gone. This is coconut water flown in from Hawaii. I remember it's your favorite, so I brought you some." He pushed the bottle into my hands, then took my hand in his. "Look at you, your nails are so long. You should trim them." Before I could react, he pulled out a pair of nail clippers and started to trim my nails. I was confused. Had he really changed? Was that even possible? I instinctively pulled my hand back. Caleb looked a little hurt. "Well, you have exams soon. I won't bother you anymore." With that, he walked away, looking dejected. I looked at the bottle of coconut water in my hand. It seemed fine. As I stood there, bewildered and about to head back inside, an old man with white hair grabbed my arm. He snatched the bottle from my hand. "Young lady, there's something wrong with this water. You can't drink it." He shook the bottle, showing it to me. Sure enough, floating in the liquid were a few tiny, almost invisible flakes. They looked like nail clippings, but not human ones. The old man sighed. "I was watching you just now. That man who was here, he clipped your nails and then gave you this doctored drink. If I'm not mistaken, he's trying to make you swap souls with something or someone." A cold dread washed over me. The old man went on to explain many things. He used to be a scholar who studied the dark magic of the people. Ancient texts described this exact soul-swapping ritual. It was a lost art. He never thought he'd see it in real life. He took me to his office and showed me the ancient texts, helping me find a way to break the curse. He said breaking the spell was easy, but the real problem was the person casting it, Caleb. If I didn't deal with him, he'd just find another way to come after me. I couldn't agree more. I immediately hired a private investigator to dig into Caleb's past. It turned out Caleb's mother was my father's first love. She got pregnant, but never told my father. After my father married my mother, he found out. To give Caleb a better life, his mother sent him to the Lawson family. But Caleb had always resented my mother. He believed she had ruined his parents' relationship. So he did everything he could to drive a wedge between my parents. But since they were always traveling for work, his efforts were futile. So Caleb turned his attention to me. His mother had remarried and gotten pregnant again, giving birth in the same hospital as my mother. As a twisted prank, he swapped me with his own half-sister. And me? He had me thrown into an orphanage, where I suffered for years. It wasn't until my father was doing charity work at the orphanage and saw me that he felt an instant connection. A DNA test confirmed the truth. The children had been switched at birth. But even then, my parents didn't suspect anything sinister. They just thought it was a terrible accident. Now it was clear it had been deliberate. And Jenna's jump from the balcony after I returned wasn't so simple either. I had the home security footage restored and discovered that Jenna had been trying to set me up, to get me thrown out of the house. She had been trying to frame me, but her plan backfired, and she ended up a vegetable. I had to admit, the two of them were a truly venomous pair. And the reason Jenna didn't want to leave the Lawson family wasn't because she would miss them. She just didn't want to go back to being poor. Just as I was uncovering all this, my parents returned from their business trip. I told them everything that had happened, down to the last detail. My father, Mr. Lawson, was furious. He was ready to take a whip to Caleb. It was a leather whip lined with barbs, terrifying to look at. But Caleb stood his ground, defiant. "I did nothing wrong. You were the one who abandoned my mother to marry this bitch. You're the one who wronged my mom, so what right do you have to hit me?" My father trembled with rage and slapped Caleb across the face. "You ungrateful snake. I took you in and raised you as my own son out of respect for your mother, and you plotted against my own daughter." He threw a folder at Caleb's face. "As of today, you are no son of mine." "Get out of my house." Caleb, still defiant, snatched up the folder and opened it. His face went pale. The DNA test inside showed that he and my father, Mr. Lawson, had no biological relationship at all. Years ago, Caleb's mother, unable to care for him herself, had entrusted her son to her old flame. It was my mother's generosity that had welcomed Caleb into our family. To avoid gossip, they had told everyone that he was my father's biological son. To protect Caleb's feelings, my mother had endured countless whispers and judgmental looks, only to be repaid by this viper's betrayal. In my last life, he had orchestrated everything, letting Jenna live my life under my name, enjoying everything that was mine. My parents went to their graves never knowing that the daughter they had searched so hard for had been replaced long ago. The truth shattered Caleb. He tore the report to shreds, screaming, "This is impossible. I am a Lawson. This whole family, this whole company, it's all mine. I see what this is. You're just playing favorites. You want to give everything to Stella, so you made this all up." My father sighed. "I always intended to leave the future of this family to you, Caleb. All I wanted for Stella was to be a happy princess, with you to protect her. I never imagined you had such a venomous heart. The slow-acting poison in your auntie's health supplements, that was you too, wasn't it? If we hadn't gone for a checkup on this trip, I never would have known I was raising a ticking time bomb in my own home." I was stunned. No wonder my parents had been away for so long. In my last life, when I sensed something was wrong, I tried to contact them overseas. But my father's voice was grim, and he just said we'd talk when he got back. That phone call was our last goodbye. This time, my father showed no mercy. He pulled out his phone and called the police. Attempted murder by poisoning was a serious crime. Before Caleb was taken away, I managed to get a sample of his blood to break the curse. I was curious how he knew about such secret magic. My father sighed and told me that Caleb's mother was from the Miao region. Years ago, my father had been traveling there and fell under one of their spells, which is how he ended up with Caleb's mother. A master practitioner later broke the spell, and they went their separate ways. But out of a sense of duty for their past, my father had taken Caleb in. And Noah, who had always been so close to me, had suddenly turned against me to help Caleb because he too had been put under a spell. It all made sense now. I couldn't understand how Noah, my friend since childhood, would risk everything for Jenna, a girl he barely knew. It was the magic. With Caleb's blood, I went to the old scholar, and he broke the soul-swapping spell and all the other curses. When Noah came to his senses and learned what had happened, he was consumed with guilt. He offered to buy me 100 hot pot dinners to make it up to me. I rolled my eyes. As for Jenna's soul, it returned to her comatose body. Once the dust settled, my father held a press conference to formally introduce me to the world. He announced that he, Mr. Lawson, had one and only one daughter. As for Caleb, he had been completely disowned by the Lawson family. Looking at the faint gray hairs at my parents' temples, I suddenly realized that even though I had missed so many years with them, their love for me had never faded. The end.